Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Got a good group here today. Looks like we got a couple more people just logging in right now. So we are going to take you through Paragon. We're going to show you some time-saving tips and techniques to make searching easier. We're going to tell you a little bit about this conversion and why it's so important. And we're going to kind of answer your questions. So if you have questions today, a little bit of housekeeping. On the right side of your screen, you should see a little go to webinar panel. Kind of looks like a red arrow that may be minimized on the right-hand side of your screen. In that go to webinar panel, you will see a questions box. Basically, within that questions box, all you'll need to do is type in your questions as we go, and then we can go ahead and answer your questions. If they're easy questions, we can go ahead and simply just respond, probably via the questions box right back at you. However, a lot of times we like to address those questions with the group because someone else may have the same question you're thinking about. So, all right, so let's get started. First and foremost, I want to introduce Brian Alfred. He is actually the one, we call him the wizard here. He's the one who has been working tirelessly day and night to make this conversion happen and make it as smooth as possible. So he's going to tell you all the important facts, which you really need to know. He is our Chief Information Officer, and he's basically going to take you through the things that you need to do, all of the things that we're working on behind the scenes. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Brian.
All right, thank you, Colleen. Now, I don't know how many of these attendees that attended before, but I have a changed version of my presentation. So since there's a few things that have obviously changed over the time period, I have updated this presentation. So it's kind of a where are we at right now? So let me get to it. Just to remind everybody, and I talked about this before, you know, this kind of reminds everybody, this is one of the most disruptive things that an MLS can go through as a conversion. But I'd like to remind everybody, you know, why your leadership made this decision. And we've been doing this for a long time, over 12 years. And one of the reasons is the level of autonomy that we give you as an MLS. You're still an MLS. You're coming on board with us. It's a shared platform. But because it allows you this level of autonomy, your own branding, fields, communication, rules, and then it's all supported by our support staff 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. One phone number, all the products that we provide is a reason that your leadership decided to go with this. We also offer more products than anybody else. So, and the product lines that you're going to start out with, and this is not everything that we provide, but this is what you've got currently or going to have within the month of March. Starting with Paragon, that's the primary MLS system. Showing time. I'm going to get into a little more details of showing time because we had to convert that to HomeSnap is the mobile application. That's going to be available later this month. Realist, that is the tax and assessor's records. That's available today, and Colleen will go into that shortly. Zip form, what we do offer, while we don't offer zip form directly, we do offer the MLS connector, MLS update, and the data sheets, our MLS data sheets are in there. So you're able to auto pop with the MLS connector and the MLS update from the MLS. So that is a big shortcut, while our data sheets are available in there as well. We do have deep linking into RPR, and we do offer auto population from Realist records into Paragon. Now that covers the entire state of Michigan. So you can simply look up in Paragon, look up any property in the state of Michigan and start a listing that way. And again, if there's any questions, shoot the questions away. I would prefer not to wait until the end, just throw them out there as I'm doing a presentation or as Colleen is doing her presentation. Now, what I'd like to discuss is data sharing. One of the big benefits of coming on board, in addition to what I just mentioned, is the data sharing that you've inherited on day one. So since February, and now we're going into March 1st, is data sharing. And what that means is you're now getting data from Bay County Realtors, East Central and Flint, Greater Shiawassee Association, Lenawee County Association, MI RealSource, Saginaw Board of Realtors, Southeastern Border Association, formerly Monroe County and Downriver. And you can see all of those blue dots you didn't have before, but you have today in Paragon. You have that data available. And you can see there's plenty of crossover, plus a number that are downstate. And what you've also got is Northern Great Lakes Realtors in the green dots. And since that relationship does not fully extend cooperation, you'll have to access that under resources. Now, bear in mind, nobody else has this form or has a data share with Northern Great Lakes. So you have something very exclusive. And you access that by clicking on the resources at the top in Paragon, and you'll see Northern Great Lakes Data Share. In there, you will have full access to your own account within Northern Great Lakes. You could set up your clients, your saved searches, your auto notifications. They can all be in there in your account. It's not a shared account. You don't need to know another login and password. So it's exclusively yours and under our MLS system. And just to review what we've been through is February 1st, we started parallel, which means you had to continue to do everything in your previous MLS system. And then come the weekend of just this past weekend, everything went read only, and it's going to stay like that, which at this point, I don't know if Realty Server is still accessible, but there's no more maintenance there. It's stagnant. So all updates and entry started Monday morning or late morning. So that was the cutover date. So now everything is now live within Paragon. And you can see all listing maintenance. That means edits, updates, entry, everything is being done in Paragon, as well as showing time. Now, I am going to give you an update. We're still working on a few things. The showing time quick action link, we're still working on that. We had to make some changes because there was some crossover with your MLS numbers. So what you're going to see is that link might be there, but it might tell you to call the office. What we're going to suggest that you do for the meantime until it's fixed, and I expect that to be fixed before the end of the day today, is go under resources, showing time, and you can schedule your showings right there. All of that setup that you had previously in the other MLS system for your showings, they're all there. Your listings are all retained under showing time. All the history in showing time. All the showing setup is in showing time. So everything's there. It's just that easy link. That's what I like to call it, that easy link within Paragon to showing time to request a showing is not working just yet. So it's in progress. Again, I hope to have that fixed by the end of the day. The same with the associated documents. We brought everything over. Because your previous vendor was not able to share those in a standard fashion, they had to give us an entire dump of data. So we had to process that, and we're still processing that. And hopefully that will be resolved or up to date by the end of the day. Another one that you're going to get hit with, and it's a very popular search because it is a required field, is structure style. Now, not all of your listings had those values, but we are updating those from other values, such as maybe as an agent, you didn't enter the listing, or the listing was not entered as a 1-story, but they selected ranch. Now we're translating that to a 1-story. So that's in progress. I need to update that there also. So we hope to have more updates by the end of the day. And again, you're going to get hit with a number of these other fields that are missing. Ownership, compensation. We did get your compensation. You'll see it. It's still there on the reports, but ours are a little more detailed, and they follow the standard outlines of, is a compensation being offered for a sub-agent? Yes, no. For a buyer's agent? Yes, no. Non-agent or transaction coordinator? Yes, no. And if there's a yes on those fields, it's going to require that you enter in the remaining values. What's the amount? Is it a dollar, percentage, or is it gradient? In other words, is there an offer on the first 100,000, then the next 100,000? So you might not be familiar with that type of compensation, but that is something that is offered elsewhere in the state of Michigan. So we have to have a place for it. It's my objective to make sure it's perfectly clear when there is a compensation offered that you are getting everything that is offered as compensation on that property. As well as taxes, you'll see the tax year, the winter tax year, total taxes, site condo. I don't know how popular those are up in your region, but in southeastern Michigan, a lot of new development was done as a site condo. It's just a different form of ownership in a subdivision. Again, if no, then you select no. Disclosures, yes, no. Again, these are standard fields under NAR's mandates that we have to put in there, and there's more to come. We'll be adding a lot more features and fields in the coming weeks to address water features. I know you have access to commons, or your commons access to water. Those fields are coming. I was hoping to have that list presented for this little presentation, but I wasn't able to get it available just yet. I'm still working those out because, again, a lot of them are standard. We're going to be adding those, so bear in mind if you see things missing, and I'm going to get into that shortly, a way for you to reach out and suggest or add corrections. Association field, this is very specific to not only HOAs, but POAs. Sugar Springs, that's an example of a POA and an association. So an association, yes. Select yes on that. Association name. Now we did bring those in, and I will go through that shortly. Additional documents to what are the standard documents is something to be noted. Seller concessions, yes or no. That wasn't a value that we got. And full service listing. Now, this is something that meets what the Department of Justice required of us. What it means is, are you offering all services as a listing agent? Yes, no. If you are, yes, then fine. If no, you are offering limited services. In other words, you're a limited service brokerage. You would be required to answer, what are your services? Now, what this does is it allows for a little more transparency and cooperation here. So the buyer's agent, who do they call? Who do they talk to schedule showings? Who do they talk to negotiate? So all of that information would be required. But if you are a traditional full service agent or office, by putting yes, that's it, you're fine.
Hey, Brian, we've got some great questions. Is now an okay time to address a couple of these? We had some really good ones that just came in.
I don't see the questions, so that's why I didn't.
Okay, well then I will help out with that. So the first question was the showing time link is not showing up So showing time is available. We're actually going to cover that in the demonstration that we're going to do. You can still get to it through the resources tab right now. However, that link is going to be added. Brian, do you have an ETA on when you think that link will appear?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, it will be available, I'm hoping by the end of the day, because of converting your, the MLS numbers that you had were in conflict with other MLSs. So that created a little bit of a problem, but it's okay. You could still access showing time under resources. So under resources, showing time, and then you could schedule showings that way. I know it's not as good as the easy link, as I mentioned. The easy link is a lot easier. I mean, what's great is, and I don't know if you could do this in your previous system, is you could select all the properties that you want to show and throw them into showing time. It's a very cool shortcut. It goes into this showing cart, and I don't know if Colleen's going to cover that one, but that's something to show, because I don't think your previous system did that. All you could do is one property at a time, but this allows you a way to just do a bulk, and hopefully we'll get those resolved by the end of the day. I expect by the end of the day, and I will post any updates as we get those, we get showing time, the showing time link running. Again, you can go into showing time and schedule showings there individually.
All right, so another good question we had is, do we still need to send our change forms into our board as we did previously? And the answer is yes.
You mean like, yeah, MLS policy isn't going away. You're still your MLS, and your MLS rules still apply. So even though you're on this different MLS system, your rules of listing entry, your rules of fines, your rules, all of that still apply.
Okay, another good question. What is a listing exception? So as an agent of the last 22 years, I'll explain what a listing exception is. A listing exception is if there is an exception to the listing, meaning that, let's say the seller said, well, I want you to sell it to everyone, but I told the neighbor on the corner that if he could get me $100,000 cash by the end of tomorrow, he could buy it. So that would be an exception, one person who's accepted out of, or basically excluded out of, that listing agreement. So hopefully that answers your question. Also, there was another, I'm not sure exactly what this means, but it says the owner name is missing. The owner name is missing. If you could give us maybe.
Okay, I know what that is, because I seen
that
coming.
Okay.
We're working to have those added to some of the agent reports. We can't add it to all of them, but at the very least, we can add it to what would be the Clare Gladwin report. So we're working on that right now. So we definitely have the owner's name from the previous system. So it's just getting it published in some of the agent reports. So that is coming.
Okay, and then it says another person keyed in and said, under resources, they see home but not showing time. So we're going to go through that. I'm going to take you through just to make sure that you're looking in the right spot, but we'll figure that out for you as well. Okay, I think that's a good chunk of our questions. Brian, sorry to interrupt you. I thought maybe we could just hit a couple of those while we're right here.
Okay, no, that's good. Stop me. I'd rather answer it right away. Okay, some of the notable points of difference between this, the MLS systems is we've, with areas, we've adopted the approach of taxing authority or fully incorporated communities. And what that means is, where are the taxes being paid? Where is it physically located? And we use what are called, it's a federal standard called FIPS. And you don't need to know what that is. It's just that it's a federally recognized physical location. So we went with that standard, which is what RESO is using, the Real Estate Standards Organization, which is a NAR mandated organization. So we've adopted that and property location identification. So that's why we did that. We're following a standard that is recognized throughout the state. So that is one reason we adopted areas. The other is, you know, areas are really, it's important that everyone adhere to those standards, because a lot of the statistical reports are based on areas. So it's important that that is accurate. Property, is it located where it's supposed to? The other one is, obviously, you want to be able to search and accurately locate where that property is. So that's important. And I'll go into, shortly, I'll go into the importance of the accuracy of location identifiers. Now, association name. Again, I'm going to bring up Sugar Springs, White Birch Estates. These were not proper areas in that they're not fully incorporated communities. They are POAs. So we put them where they were supposed to be, which is under association name. So we brought those in. So you can actually, if you bring up association name, you can search for Sugar Springs and it will come up. So any of those properties that you had located in Sugar Springs, White Birch Estates, you can search those in the association name, and Colleen will show you that. Another one is body of water. You had waterfront name. Now, the difference is we don't have a set of lookups or a pick list. The reason is because there's actually over 17,000 bodies or lake names that are 5 acres or more under, according to the DNR. So for us to cover the entire state, it just was not practical. But you can still search. You could search Lake Javelin, Lancelot. You could search those within Paragon, and Colleen's going to show you how to do that as well. Statuses. Some of the big differences are your on hold is equivalent to our conditionally withdrawn status. There's still a contract on it. There's still a listing agreement on it. Withdrawn, that is unconditionally withdrawn. It's gone. There's no contract now. It's a torn up or voided listing agreement with the seller. Some new statuses that you're going to see, and it's really up to your leadership whether you want to adopt these or not. It's not something you have to adopt, but it is data that we are getting from elsewhere. So it's important that we have a place for it. Coming soon status. Now, briefly, this coming soons are allowed for 7 days with a published activation date. That's the date that it will become active. These listings you can schedule showings on after the activation date. So when it's active, while it's coming soon, there are no showings on it, but you can schedule showings in the future. So up to 7 days into the future, showings can be scheduled. Accepting backup offers. This is something that is essentially an active pending. It is active, but there's an accepted offer, but they are accepting backup offers. The main difference between this and pending is it's still accrues days on market. So that's something to consider whether your membership even adopts this. But the fact is that there's already an accepted offer. So bear that in mind. Both of these are they're RESO or NAR accepted fields. Okay, verifying the accuracy of your listings. Now, I asked everybody to do this during parallel, but it's not uncommon to miss some things or notice things that maybe you didn't notice before. But we did build a familiar report that you had in your previous MLS system, and we will add owner's name or seller's name on this report as well as some of the others. So we're working on that. But I ask you to look at these listings and report any errors. So in addition to reporting any inaccuracies, I want you to report, anything else you would report. It could be violations, anything like that. Your board staff will see that. In addition, I will see any errors that might have been incorrectly mapped into the system. And those really are specifically, and here's how you get to that report. If you go under available reports on the right, you'll see the blue B, Clare Gladwin. Click on that. Otherwise, you're going to get the out-of-the-box reports that we have. And you can change these. If you really prefer this to be your default report, you can change that under Preferences. So under Available Reports, you select that, and you'll see this report. You can go from one report or one property to the next. And what I'm really looking for you to report, and not limited to this, but you could start with this, is the area right? Is it physically located where it's supposed to be? Now, these two fields, area and municipality, they should be equivalent. It's important that they are. The area really is what's tied to everything statistically within the MLS system, but municipality is more for what goes out to like IDX, syndication, all those. It's a little more consumer friendly. So those two are really tied together. So you can look at one or the other. They should be the same. If they're not, then you need to report it. And that's why I have both there. Mail city or postal city, again, that could be a number of acceptable cities based on the zip code, school district, and geolocation. Now, this is on a map. I asked, now that previous report that I showed you, if you scroll to the bottom of that, you'll see a map there too. And if it's your listing, now you can actually correct these if you know what the proper value is. If it's somebody else's, report it. Hit that corrections button at the top. It reports everything about the listing anonymously. So if you're reporting a violation, the listing agent or broker will not see what you report on that listing. If it's an inaccuracy, it tells me everything that I need to know about the property, except what's wrong with it. So I get what the property is, the address, the listing ID, the MLS number, who you are. So if I have any more questions on correcting the data, I can fix that or reach out to you and get a little more information. So continue to report away. It's my objective to improve the accuracy of this data. If the data isn't accurate, then it does you no good. So that's really the whole purpose here. But we can't do this as board staff and MLS staff alone. It has to be everyone's effort. So as brokers and agents, as experts of the data, I cannot encourage you enough to hit that corrections button. Hit that button over and over and remind them, let me know what's wrong or what I did incorrect on my end, and let board staff know what might be a violation or an inaccuracy on their end. Do we have a question?
We do. We actually have a couple, and everybody's doing a great job. We're getting lots and lots of questions. Some were just, housekeeping questions, which I answered. But Ivy has a question. What about searching single wides or double wides?
Yep. Okay. Ivy. Okay. Since you brought her name up, Ivy has been very, very helpful. And thank you, Ivy. Your feedback has been phenomenal. Those fields, you gave us a huge list of fields. Those are manufactured home, and that's what's called body type, and those are coming. So I would encourage you to be patient. Those are coming. Those are actually standard fields, so we're going to be adopting those. So if it's a manufactured yes, then everyone will be required to be answering, is that a single wide, double wide, triple wide? I've never even heard of a quadruple wide, but apparently it's a thing. So those values are coming in addition to a number of values for like waterfront fields or water features. That would be, commons to water, no wake, as well as there's a number of fields that are coming. So Ivy, you know that list. I know that list very well. And most, if not all of those are coming. So that was a great list. And I totally appreciate the feedback. Feedback is what makes an MLS better, more accurate. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Okay, so then we have another question. I keyed in a listing late last night. It's saved, but the public and agent remarks did not. They did not show up. When I checked this morning, it does not show in my info and I cannot search on it. So Alice, if you could actually give us that address, Brian will go ahead and look it up after our demo today, and we can take a look and see what's going on. So Alice, if you could type in that address, we'll do some checking. And again, that's why we're doing this, is we want your feedback. We want anything that doesn't look quite right, so we can take a look at it right now. As we mentioned, yesterday was the first day going live into our cutover. So anything that you're noticing, this is our chance to go ahead and get that corrected. Okay, association name is not in the listing details. Neither is there any place to put the lot or unit number. So I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, the lot and unit number, unless maybe it's vacant land and I'd have to, because unit number is actually underneath the street name and the residential. And vacant land, it's actually addressed to. So you'll see it there. That's where in listing entry you would put it. Now, if you want to search on it, that's something that you're going to have to add to the search features.
And I'll actually show that. We'll use that as an example. I'm just going to write that down. If you were talking about searching, Alice, I'll show you how to add that field in. So yes, you can search on it. As Brian mentioned, it is there when you're adding a listing in. The only thing is not on vacant land. So really good questions. Thank you everybody for the really good questions. And we've also got we've got actually several more coming in. So in Sugar Springs, a lot of agents listed under waterfront, even though it does not have any frontage, because even the lots have lake access. So if you are searching for a waterfront, all the lots and homes that are not on the water will show up. Can that be stopped? And I think you're working on something for that, correct, Brian?
Well, here's the thing. If it is indeed a lakefront property, then it should be correctly identified as lakefront. But if it's water access, it should not have the waterfront. Yes. Now, if we're saying, or if you're saying that it is inaccurately being reported that way in the system, then I need to take a look at that. But if in the case that the agent is inaccurately entering a value suggesting or at least identifying it as a waterfront property, then that is a board or MLS policy rule that needs to be enforced. So either way, I would encourage you to hit the corrections button. I see all of those corrections right now, and so does board staff. So I would encourage you to hit that corrections button and say, hey, wait a minute, this is not a waterfront property. It has access to the waterfront, but it is not waterfront, and I can investigate, or you can report it right here. Either way, that's why I want you to hit that corrections button. It helps me out to correcting these issues on a system level. If it's a policy issue, again, that goes to the board.
Okay, another good, actually, I think they're sending you a screenshot of this, but Ivy, again, thank you for all your great questions. She's turned in several questions. The total finished square footage, upper and lower level, is flip-flopped with the above grade square footage. So
yeah, we're working on it. Ivy, you're awesome. I think I owe at least a bottle of wine. I don't know what you drink or if you, but you've been extremely helpful. So we might have to set up a date, because I get a lot of info from you. So I would definitely like to hear a little more feedback. But nice catch, because and I would like to explain, at least from my perspective, what I see on the back end is not always identified accurately. And I don't mean to throw your previous vendor under the bus or anything like that. It's just what I saw, or what we're seeing as an equivalent field, is not always the same thing that you see in the MLS system. And I try to jump back and forth like that. And this is something that slipped through, but great catch, Ivy. Thanks again.
Then we have another question. When you hit the corrections button, do you still need to send it to your own MLS board staff?
No, it's going there right now. I see it and your board staff sees it.
All right, and then just a recommendation, agents, please make sure you check your geolocations. I had 5 of them that I had to correct yesterday. So thank you for that feedback. Yep, that's a really good idea to check them right now. Alice did provide us that address, Brian, so I will send that over to you as well. Let's see, when keying in a new listing, vacant land, Sugar Springs is not always there with an address. So we put a lot.
That's fine. That's the
think
problem with vacant land. That's universal, I can tell you that. You put in what you have in the address. You could put lot number and then the street name. Here's the thing. With vacant land, because it's not going to have necessarily a postal address, that's why it's really important that you put in those details. You correctly identify it on the map, because it's not going to be able to find that. If the mailman is not delivering to that property, then you're going to have to manually, with the PIN, identify where that property is located. So you do your best with the vacant land. It could be lot number, street name.
Okay, got a couple more. This is the most questions I think we've ever gotten in one, so that's awesome. So area, municipality, and municipality are the tax authority. Are they the same in Gladwin County? So it sounds like it's a kind of a two-part. So they're asking area, can you describe again the municipality and area, what that means? And are they the tax authority, say in Gladwin County?
Yeah, there's no difference throughout the state. Taxing is done at an incorporated municipality, and I say that with the difference that there are unincorporated communities and there are incorporated communities. And you're going to see, that's the difference between Mail City and municipality. Is a Mail City could be a city by name. That's it. There's no government there. They're not collecting taxes.
Okay. Okay. Let's see what else we've got. Okay, this I think is more just ideas for you, Brian. It says, if waterfront fields are coming, I would appreciate, along with sandy beach, if you could add sandy bottom. We've heard this a couple times now. So many waterfront listings have a seawall and no beach, but you can step 1 foot down and it's a sandy bottom.
Okay, now that one is a non-standard. Now what we are going to add is beach access, and I think beach front. And I would hope that you would think that it's synonymous with a sandy bottom, is beach front. So I hope that accommodates. I'd like to hear your input, but part of what we're doing is we're complying with NAR's mandates in these fields. So, when I get a list of these requests, it's my objective to find a standard place that NAR says that's what this is. But with the sandy bottom, again, I would hope that beachfront or beach access would accommodate, but I would like to hear your feedback.
Okay. All right, I'm typing as fast as I can here. Okay, I think, okay. So let me clarify my earlier question. Alice says, when adding a new listing, there is no box to key an association name or lot number. Can you address that again, Brian? Apparently there was some confusion still.
Well, there is a place to put in the association name. That should be in listing entry. So it's there, along with association contact and association phone number. So that information is there, and I'll make a note on whether it's there. I'll make sure that it's inclusive with vacant land as well. And the fact that you mentioned lot probably tells me that I need to look at vacant land just to make sure that those fields are there. And bear in mind, we're going to be adding a lot of things, or we're going to be updating data sheets to accommodate as well.
Okay, and I think we have one last question. You guys have done a great job of asking a lot of good questions. Okay, so are we able to search by a keyword? So let's say we wanted to just search by Sandy Bottom in agent comments. Can we do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I beat Colleen to that answer. So you can, it's a free form field like a association name, body water. You could search on any word. Remarks.
Okay, I think that is the last of the questions. If I missed anybody, we'll catch them on the next round. So
cool. That was great. A lot of questions. Again, reach out to board staff. I know some of you know my direct line. Shoot me a question. I'll try to answer it as quickly as I can. Okay, so for those of you, and it sounds like everybody is extremely vigilant. I love this crowd. I think you guys have been very, I don't know. I think this has been a great group. I think you guys have been very proactive and jumping into your new MLS system. I mean, it is what you make of it. It's so the more proactive you are, the better the system will be. But for those of you that haven't logged in, just to remind you, your login is all caps, preceded by CGB, Clare Gladwin board. It's your Realty server login. Initially, your login is 1111, and then it will have you change the password. Okay, and finally, classes and training. While we're still kind of focused on this conversion, I just want to let you know that there's a number of other classes. I know we have a realist class coming up, but in addition to the basics, we go into more advanced Paragon searches with CMAs, the Paragon Client Manager. It's a class in all its own. You can set your client up to search, whether you want them to search or not. They can, it's a full client portal. They can organize likes, dislikes. They can message. Everything between you and your client can be contained within this client manager and collaboration tool or portal with your client. So it does quite a bit. So it warrants really its own class. Or you could you could stick with the old-fashioned email. That's available too. So it's entirely up to you what you want to use. But these advanced classes are very cool. Got a realist class coming up. We go into showing time much deeper. When you get Home Snap, we're going to go into that. Home Snap is really almost like an all-in-one mobile product. It does quite a bit. You can do listing maintenance. You could really set up, it's IDX essentially. You can invite clients, and they only have you as it follows IDX rules. So that client will only see you as the agent for everything. That includes the data shares too. Lead generation. We show you how to draw all of these tools together and how to make, how to capture leads on whether it's social media, but we show you how to use these tools. We give you these tools, but then we show you how to really make the most out of it, how to generate more business. So we find these very, very popular with agents. It really shows you how to make the most of the tools that you're getting from your board. So that will be it for me.
All right, I think we've got a good 50 or 60 questions on this one. So it's really exciting that so many people are embracing it and getting excited about it. So thank you everybody for your feedback. Brian, we got a couple more.
Cool.
Let's see. I am the office manager. I need full access to the agent's listings. Will I have this?
Yes.
Okay.
If you don't, then that's just a simple switch on the end of boards. On the end of board staff, you just up your security level, and you have full access to listings.
Okay, so, and it sounds like Chris said, I tried to add our office logo and it declined my access. So Chris, I'm gonna forward your information over to Brian and maybe he can take a look at that and make sure that you have the right level of access. And then some questions about other dates and times for upcoming classes. I'm actually going to be sending those over to Mary and Kim at your board office today. They are going to actually post them. And they will be sending them out in an email as well. So, and then there was another question, do we have an app? Yes, your mobile MLS app is going to be HomeSnap. I'm going to tell you that I absolutely love it as an agent. You can edit your listings right from the palm of your hand. And I'm going to show you a lot of time-saving tips and techniques in that HomeSnap class. That's geared up for the end of the month. And so we're excited to bring that to you as well. And I think that's the, one more question just popped in. Is there a place to, let's see, is there a place where you have changed your password that you can actually see your password? And I don't think we have that for security reasons.
Nope, that does not comply with security protocols. And you're not really going to see that on many sites. So if you have a problem or if you need it reset, you can do that right on the home page, or you can call support and we could just shoot you a request or a reset password. And what you do is you just take that new password, paste it in, and you can put in a new one. So, but at any point, you can always click forgot password. Like any other site, you can click that, you put in your login, and it will reset, or it will prompt you to reset your login.
All right, really, really good questions. Looks like we had just one more. Looks like more of a tech support question. Okay, great. So let's go ahead. So Brian, you did an amazing job. You covered a lot and definitely bounced around a lot of questions. So as you can see, there's more questions popping in, but we're going to go ahead and get started in the actual tips and tricks and kind of the demonstration of what you need to know. So a little bit about
questions.
What's that?
I don't see the questions.
Oh, okay. Then in that case, we'll address them as we're going through then. You don't have the little question?
If you could send those questions too. I mean, I'm trying to make a note of some of these that came up, like the association name and vacant land.
Yeah, and some people provided addresses too, Brian, for you too. So let me see why. Oh, I figured out why you don't have questions. Hold on, I'm gonna fix that right now. Okay, you should see your questions box now, Brian.
I see it. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. As you can see, we had a lot of questions. I was typing frantically. So if I misspelled anything, I'm just going to apologize ahead of time. We had a few more questions than normal, and which I love. And we love addressing questions, and it's a good time to do it. Brian, there's a couple examples and addresses in there for you as well. But really, let me tell you a little bit about who I am. I've been a licensed realtor for 22 years now. It makes me feel old when I say it that way. But my job is the fun job. Brian gets all the hard job. He's been working tirelessly day and night to make this conversion as seamless as possible. Nobody likes conversion. Nobody likes change. I mean, let's face it. But remember, before you were only seeing the Clare Gladwin information. Now you're looking at a much bigger platform. So you're going to be able to see surrounding MLSs, and more inventory that you can see means more inventory that you can sell. So that's always a great thing too. Right now, Brian is very modest, but he did not tell you he's been working on bringing 94% of the state into our data sharing efforts. So when I started back in the day, I had to belong to 3 different MLSs. I had to pay 3 different sets of MLS fees, and I had to put everything in 3 different systems, and it was the exact same information. And how redundant was that? It was crazy. So I'm happy to say that through the efforts of Brian Alfred, we now have 94% 94% of the state in our data sharing efforts. So we can see much more, we can sell much more. You're going to have more things even coming to you at the end of the year. So a lot of cool stuff there. But really, my job today is to show you the basics, because when I am out in the field, I want to be able to pull up all the information right on my phone. We're going to show you that at the end of the month in HomeSnap. We're going to show you, matter of fact, I was just showing properties in St. Clair Shores, and there was some evidence of water in the basement. You're going to be able to, on your phone, be standing in the listing. It's going to find it in your GPS. It's going to pull up the seller's disclosures and lead-based paint disclosures for you. So when your client asks things like, well, what's this water from? You're going to be able to not only just pull it up on your phone, you're going to be able to share it immediately to his phone so he can actually see those disclosures while standing in the property. You're going to be able to schedule showings, edit your listings, brand everything. So when your clients are actually driving around and they want to know what the home price is of the home they're sitting in front of, it's going to pop up with your information and your face. So we're going to show you some really cool things in the HomeSnap app. I know there were a lot of questions about it earlier, but I promise you that is a great class. That's going to be coming at the end of the month, so be sure to take that so you have your MLS platform app right in your hand. All right, I'm going to turn my fuzzy hair off of your screen so you can actually get to what you're here for, and that's actually to learn how to search more efficiently. We're going to cover everything from keywords, which we talked about. You've given me some great examples. I'm going to show you ways that you can do things that you couldn't previously do in Realty Server. Like, what if you just want to quickly text a listing? What if your buyer just sent you 10 properties they found on Zillow or Realtor.com or some, IDX site? Well, now you can paste those all into one field, pull up everything at once, and then even text it over to your client or email it to your client. So we're going to cover a lot of that. We're also going to touch on the showing time carts. I did see that quite a few people said that they are not seeing showing time in their resources, so we're going to cover that. We're also going to talk about where it's going to end up. As Brian mentioned, he's working hard to get that showing time link turned on for you today, so you'll be able to schedule right from looking at the property. So let's get started. First and foremost, there are several different ways to search in Paragon. Now, I am a mom, and as I mentioned, I work as staff at the MLS and also still sell, so I need to be able to find properties fast. So if I'm looking for one property, let's say I'm looking for 123 Cherry Street, that's really where you're going to use this power search right up here at the top. So the power search, this little area right up at the top that everybody kind of misses, that's basically where you want to find one property. Maybe you're looking for one MLS number, one property, or one agent very quickly. So it's kind of very specific. So if I am looking for 123 Cherry Street and I start typing that in, well, I would always see the active. So if there was an active 123 Cherry Street, it's always going to be right up here at the top, so you can find it very quickly. However, you can see that 123 Cherry Street, well, it's actually closed a few times. It's been sold a few times. So if I want to see all of the listings for 123 Cherry Street, I can simply click on Listings, 7, and I can open up very quickly all the results for 123 Cherry Street. Now, not only can I open up the results for 123 Cherry Street, I can sort them, I can filter them. The idea is if I wanted to see all the actives with the actives, closed with the closed, maybe I want to sort them by price. This kind of works like an Excel spreadsheet. So all you really need to do is click on the column header, and as you can see, it's going to sort it in that order for you. So I'm going to show you a couple quick things you can do to sort of make your spreadsheet work even harder for you. But just remember, really this power search that you're looking at here, right up here at the top, well, it's really designed to give you one property or one MLS number quick. But let's, I'm going to use Ivy since Brian has mentioned that she's been so helpful in, giving us a lot of great feedback. So I'm going to say that I am out in Clare and I'm having dinner. I run into Ivy. She's telling me that she has a buyer for a 3-bedroom home in Clare. They've been looking forever. And I just happen to say, oh, you know what? I have a listing that would be perfect, Ivy, for that. Well, let's say Ivy gets up today and she can't quite remember what that address was, but she could always go to that power search and she could actually start typing in my name. As you can see now, I do belong to a couple boards for our testing purposes here, but if she wanted to give me a call, she could go ahead and click on my name. It would give her my cell phone number, my contact information, what brokerage I work at. But right above here, you can also see my inventory. So if Ivy was looking for a particular property, she'd be able to find it very quickly from my inventory. Or again, if she just wanted to be able to give me a call, she could click on my name, see my cell phone, office number, things of that nature. Okay, so kind of think of this as kind of like your Google search. I really want to find one thing fast. I'm looking for an address. I'm looking maybe for an agent name or a quick MLS number. I want to be able to find it quickly. Okay, so that is the power search. Now, by the way, if my screen looks a little bit different than when you log in, let me explain why. This center section, when you log in, is actually going to be your board, what your board posts. So we put your, I believe we put your website there right now. You can see when the upcoming classes are. Mine is going to look a little bit different, obviously, because I'm not a member of your board. My MLS is my real source. So the idea is when I log in, it's going to look slightly different in this middle section. You can also customize. I'm kind of through with winter, so you can also customize with different themes. There's some really funny ones. For instance, there's an 80s theme where ET kind of flies over your screen. They have many different themes that you can choose from just to kind of break up the monotony every day, right? The other thing you're going to notice is when you log in, you probably see your quick search over here on the left. Now, I'm going to be honest, I have a little OCD. I'm also right-handed, so I like everything to be in a nice, tidy way. So I kind of like my quick search over here on the right. It's a little bit easier for me. It's a little easier for me to go right down the column when I'm trying to find a couple properties fast. So keep in mind, although my screen may look a little different, really what it's the exact same thing. It's just that my MLS actually controls my middle section. All right, so again, just to recap, when you're looking for one thing, you're looking for one property, one agent, one MLS number, then this power search is really helpful. But a lot of times, let's say you're at the office and somebody just called, they're looking for a 3-bedroom home. They're looking in, we'll use Clare, whatever city that you specialize in. Maybe they're looking on a basement. Maybe they've been pre-approved from, let's say, 200,000 to 300,000. You want to find a couple properties quickly. Then that's really what this is for. So I'm going to say, looking for actives, looking in Sterling Heights, 3 bedrooms. I want to quickly pull up a couple properties while I have this person on the phone. That is the idea of the quick search. However, Brian built something. I begged Brian, I think it was almost 3 years, to build a better mousetrap. So as an agent, we're often getting a call that maybe there's 5 or 6 addresses they found on an IDX site. Maybe they found 5 or 6 addresses on Zillow or Realtor.com. So really, quick search is great, but what if I wanted to enter all of those in quickly and I wanted to just simply text them while on the phone right over to my client that I'm talking to? Well, that's really what this full addresses field is. So I kept explaining to Brian that now with syndication sites and IDX sites, they're getting all this information. So how do we, when they're rattling off 5 or 6 addresses, how do we efficiently pull those all up and get them right to that client? And that is with the full addresses field. So I'm going to use, and I think my listing, God, I can't remember addresses anymore, 8515 Helen. Okay, so here's my listing on Helen. Now what I'm going to do is, it doesn't matter if it's Helen Street, Helen Way, Helen Court. All I'm going to do is type in the root street name. So basically the address, 8515 Helen. I'm also going to type in our 123 Cherry Street. Now, again, I don't have to put in the street or the boulevard or the way. Maybe I'm going to type in 123 West Street. All I'm really doing is hitting enter after, and I'm now separating those properties out. So I can literally type in up to 30 addresses at once, pull them all up, and now I can send them over to my client. If I only want to see actives or actives and pendings, I could filter them down that way, so I'm not gathering a bunch of closed properties. But remember how I said if they're emailing them to you, you can copy and paste as well? So let's pretend that your client just emailed you a bunch of properties. What I do, my little tip and trick here, is I will generally hit forward so that the email is open, like you're going to forward it to someone or like you're going to forward it to yourself. I then go down to where those addresses or MLS numbers are. I just make sure there's a comma separating them. I copy all of them at one time and I paste them into this field. That is going to allow me to pull up to 30 properties at once. I'm now going to go ahead and hit my search key. Now I'm bringing up all of those records and now I'm ready to review them with the client or maybe just send them on with the client. Now, a couple of things, and I did not notice this in Realty Server, so if it was there, I apologize, I missed it. I don't think it was there, but if I wanted to send a few specific listings, let's say I wanted to send these over via text, I can go right up here to the top where it says share via text. I can click on text, and I can actually pull text right from, I can pull my client's cell phone number right from their contact record. Or I could add a new client in. So maybe I know that I'm going to send this to, let's say, Eddie Resk here. I can go ahead, check his name off, and click on his cell phone number and text those listings over to him. Now, again, I have a little OCD, so if I only am choosing 5 listings, well, I really don't want to see the additional, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click checked up here at the top. Now I'm only working with those specific listings. So it really makes it so much easier to kind of dwindle it down. Now, of course, you can print these off. So you could open them up, you could print them. You, of course, could email them over to a client very quickly and easily. And the cool thing about Paragon is Brian did a great job of labeling the reports. So anything that I'm probably going to want to send to a client has client right in the title of the report. So I know which ones are really geared for clients and which ones are really geared for me as the agent. Makes it really simple. Now, I believe in your Realty Server product, you had what we refer to as the Collab Center. I think it was called Concierge or Client Services, something like that in Realty Server. Same concept. I can actually save a search with what my buyer's looking for. I can assign or marry my buyer to that search, and then immediately they get notified anytime a listing hits the market with their criteria. So we're going to kind of look a little bit at that today too. But keep in mind, just kind of as a recap, if you're looking for one property fast, one MLS number, one listing agent, that's our power search right up here at the top. If I'm looking for a couple properties quickly, maybe I just want to do a real quick search, I can search here, or again, I can add up to 30 addresses in and do one search so I can now send them over to my client. Now, one quick thing I wanted to point out, and I went into Realty Server and actually grabbed, grabbed an MLS number so I could use it as an example, is right now, because remember, you're going to be data sharing, so your listing MLS numbers are going to get a little bit longer. We're going to add a couple digits, because remember, they have to go out into, all of the people that you're data sharing with, right? You can't have a bunch of duplicates because that really wouldn't work. So we're going to show you how to find it by the Realty Server MLS number 2. So if I am looking for a Realty Server number, and I just grabbed one this morning, we're going to use this one. All I have to do is type that number in where it says alternate MLS number. Okay, alternate MLS number means this is basically your Realty Server ML number. That's what it's actually asking you if you want to search that way. Unfortunately, this field does not come out of the box. And so one of the things about Paragon is you can actually set these searches up to be custom to you, which I really love. The idea is I can set this up so that it has all the important fields for me right up at the top. I don't want to have to scroll and find stuff and go all the way to the bottom. So what you want to do is you do want to add this alternate MLS number field. So let me show you how it works. In most of the sections in Paragon, you'll find a little widget, kind of looks like a little gear right up at the top. So if I click on that gear, and I'm just going to take it out here so I can show you right from the beginning how to add it in. So if I click on that gear, it's actually going to open up my Customize Your Quick Search. So if I go to Find and I start typing in I even just type ALT, you're going to see alternate MLS number. Simply check it off, hit Add. Not only can I add it, but you see it dropped it at the bottom. Maybe in this conversion time, maybe you want to have that close to the top so that you can quickly use that if somebody calls you. So you can actually drag and drop it wherever you want in the list. By the way, the only one you can't move around is the search by map. It will always stay at the top. It's just the way the program's designed, but everything else you can go ahead and move around into the order that you want. So if you want bedrooms at the top, move bedrooms at the top. If you want status at the top, you can move status to the top. Then all you want to do is apply and save it as your default. Then it will always be there. I'm just going to apply mine, so in the next class I don't have to do it again. But the idea is when you have that alternate MLS number, you can still search by those Realty server numbers. Okay, so remember, quick search, really great way to find properties fast. You can save your quick search. You can also pull up a history of your quick searches. So let's say you got all your criterion, somebody came into the lobby, or your baby started crying, you now come back to the MLS, you don't want to have to add all of that in again. You can go right back to the last 15 searches that you created here. Okay, so pretty easy. All right. The MLS messaging, you may see pop-ups when you actually come into the MLS. So if the board is trying to get a hold of you, let's say they need a particular document from you, maybe they need a status change or something. I saw that in some of the questions earlier. Or if they're just trying to tell you about the golf outing that's coming up this summer, they can actually put a pop-up message that will appear when you log into the MLS. And again, if you're looking for one property, you're going to use the power search. Doing a quick search for someone on the phone, that's your quick search. But what if you have that buyer, like I always seem to get, with the big haves and wants? I need a 3-car garage. I need the 3 bedrooms. I don't want it to be on a septic field. I need FHA 203K financing, or I want to buy on a land contract. That's where you're going to do more detailed searching, okay? And so that's where we're going to go up to the top, and we're going to do a detailed search. So that's going to be under your search icon. Now, by the way, this is really where you can search a lot of things. You can search your inventory. How much did I sell this year? You can search things like tours and open houses. You can search saved property searches you set up for clients. But really today we're going to kind of take a look at the searching by class here. So single family or residential condo, vacant land, commercial, manufactured home parks, commercial, industrial, and business, multifamily, and even if you wanted to search over the class lines, you can do a multi-class search. Now, people always ask me, well, what the heck does that mean, Colleen? Well, let's say that Ivy had a client who said, you know what, if you can find me a great deal on a fixer-upper home, that would be wonderful. But you know what, I'd also be willing to look if the price was right at some vacant land. Well, I don't really want to set up 2 different searches for my client, right? I just want to do one search and maybe search over the vacant land and single family class lines. So keep in mind, you can always do a multi-class search, and that's going to allow you to search everything. But today we're going to go kind of run-of-the-mill. We're going to go pretty standard. We're going to do a single family or residential condo search. Now, just like I showed you in the quick search, you can add fields here. So maybe you want to search by lake name. Our lake name field is called body of water. I'm going to show you how to add that in and how to search by body of water. I'm also going to show you how to search some of the water features, like finding a steel seawall. I'm also going to show you how to search with features like haves and wants. So we're going to cover a lot of that today. So basically, when I go into here, if I don't know what goes into a particular field, like maybe I don't know what goes in the type field, no worries. Just simply go over to the magnifying glass to the right, and it's going to tell you what that field is looking for. So I'm looking for a single family or residential home. My client is not interested in condos, okay? Over here, what am I searching for? Well, probably I'm searching for active, but again, if I don't know exactly what I'm searching for, I'm going to click on that magnifying glass to the right, and now I can say, oh, I'm really looking for comps, or I'm really looking for pendings, whatever I'm looking for. I can go ahead and fill that in. Now, if I were looking for comps, well, I'm probably not going to want to use these calendars. Quite honestly, I don't really love the calendars. If I'm looking back 6 months, I just want to use the drop down and say, okay, I'm looking for comps 6 months back. Am I looking for leases or just things that are for sale? And here's where I can start adding in more information. Now, if I'm really looking for comps, I'm probably not going to fill a lot of this in, because where I am, I would want to do what an appraiser is going to do. I might want to stay within 1 mile of my subject property, or maybe your broker, or maybe if you're in more of a rural area, maybe you're searching 5 miles out. I'm going to show you how to do that too. But maybe if I'm looking for comps where I am, I know I'm looking for a 1-story ranch, because I'm trying to compare apples to apples, right? So I'm looking for a 1-story ranch to comp out my 1-story ranch. Maybe I know that my home has 3 bedrooms. Now, this one I want to kind of caution you on, the bathrooms total. Okay, by the way, if I don't put anything in max, of course that's going to pull up 3 or greater. But if I put 3 in max, that means it's only going to be pulling up 3 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms. Okay, so I'm going to get a 3-bedroom home. But bathrooms total, I'm going to be honest, as an agent, it is not my favorite field. And why that is in bathrooms total, and there's no nicer way to say this, I apologize, it's counting the number of toilets basically in the whole home. I'm embarrassed to say that I recently showed a house that had an unfinished attic. It was a little bungalow, little stairway. You went up the stairway into an unfinished attic that literally had a toilet sitting in the attic, and the agent actually had the nerve to count that. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't think I could go to the bathroom in an attic with no walls, but apparently this agent thought it was a countable bathroom. So basically, when you're looking at bathrooms total, that means that if there's a toilet in the basement, for instance, a half bath in the basement, it's going to be counted in that bathroom's total. If I'm really trying to get accurate comps, well, that's probably not what I want to do. Also, we're going to use Ivy. We're going to say that Ivy has this great buyer. He comes to Ivy and he says, you know what? I have 6 daughters, Ivy. I have not had a hot shower in like 4 years. I really need 2 full baths. Well, if Ivy puts a 2 in here, she could technically be dragging him through a bunch of bath and a halves. And, that might be a little bit of an issue for him. So if you scroll down to secondary criteria, you're going to see a much better way to search, and that's bathrooms full and bathrooms half. Now, this is bathrooms on the above grade square footage, meaning it's on the livable levels of the home. We're not looking at the basement. We're not looking, hopefully, in the attic. We're looking at above grade square footage, and that means it's going to be on more of the livable levels of the home, and I can be more exact. So Ivy could say, okay, we're looking for a minimum of 2 full baths. That means if I leave max open, yes, I would get 2.5 baths. Yes, I'd get 3 baths full if that's what, was there. However, I'm not dragging him through a bunch of bath and a halves. Now, I'm going to be honest, in my real life search as an agent, I am never going to want to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. I think that's stupid. I want to have baths full and baths half up here. Remember, you can customize this. So if you want the half bath and full bath above grade square footage up here at the top, you can actually put it there. So don't worry, you don't have to scroll down every time. Also, acreage or year built, those are ones that I commonly use, and I think you will probably too. So you want to take them out of the secondary criteria box. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a moment. You want to put that in your primary up at the top so that you can not have to scroll down every time you use one of those important fields. Okay, so hopefully this is making a little sense to you. Again, the nice thing about Paragon is it's customizable, and you can make it work with what you're searching on and what you commonly need. All right, basement, yes, no. Waterfront, yes, no. Pretty self-explanatory. Garage, yes, no. But what I kind of want to talk about is a little bit more in the features area. So a couple of the really good questions that I got when Brian was giving his presentation was features. Features work like this. There's 3 categories: must have, must not have, and must have at least one of these for my buyer to consider it, right? So in this case, let's say you have a client who says, you know what, Colleen, I have to have a pool. I have to have an in-ground pool even. So in that case, he's telling me that it must have an in-ground pool. And if I set his search up and I say must have in-ground pool, he's only going to get things that have an in-ground pool, right? However, I have a very nice client right now. She just the sweetest little lady, but she had a terrible experience with a septic field. And she said, Colleen, I just found out where I am in our county, you have to have an inspection, a county certified inspection in order to close on the property. Well, she did not know this, but she ended up having to put in a brand new engineered raised septic field in the amount of $17,000 that she did not plan on. So when she called me, the first thing she said was, do not show me anything on a septic field. So if I wanted to eliminate her seeing something on a septic field, I would go to features, must not have, type in the word septic, and now anything with a septic field is not going to show up in her results. Okay. All right. So that I always seem to attract the crazy buyers. It must be the crazy fuzzy hair that I have, but somehow I seem to always get the buyers who say, Colleen, if you send me one more yellow-sided home, then I'm going to find another agent. Now, first of all, there's no button in the MLS that says remove yellow-sided listings, right? So it becomes a little bit more challenging. For something like that, in our Collab Center, which is much like, I believe it was your client services or concierge, that's where the agent gets to preview it first. So basically, you set up a search, you turn it on agent preview, it comes to you first. If you approve it, then it goes out to the client. So there's some good workarounds for those scenarios too. But I also have buyers, like I'm working with a gentleman right now, he's got a home manufacturing business. He manufactures gun handles actually, and he makes them out of this like jade and all these kind of fancy things. And so he said, Colleen, I either need to have a pole barn on my property, or I need to have some type of workshop area where I can actually do this home business. Okay, so that's where it must have at least one of those items in order to show up in his search results. Okay, you could do workshop or oversized lot, or there's a bunch of different features. Now, if you want to know what the features are, that's again where you're going to click over onto that magnifying glass, and it's going to categorize each feature. So I've got a couple that I wanted to show you. Ones that I commonly use as an agent are finished basement. Sometimes they'll say, we've got to have a finished basement. It must contain a finished basement for them to want to see it. Things like that. Another one that I think would be helpful out by you guys would be financial terms. Sometimes people are approved for maybe a rural development loan. Maybe they're looking for a land contract, or they can only buy on FHA 203K. So the idea is you can also search by financial terms. Maybe they're looking for, over here where I am, a lot of people are looking for, HUD homes or Section 8 homes, so there's all different ways that you can search. All right, so the next one that I thought would be really helpful for you guys is when we're talking about water. Water always brings up a host. I know we were talking about sandy bottom earlier and seawalls. And so if you go to water features, now where I am, I'm pretty close to Lake St. Clare. So I have a client who says, you know what, Colleen, I really want to be able to get my boat out onto the lake, but I don't really care if I'm on the canal. I mean, water, river frontage would be great. I could be right on the river. Also, we're very close to Harson's Island right here. So he says, you know what, if you can get me on Harson's Island, that's great. I'm good with that. Lake frontage would be fantastic. But as long as I have river access to get my boat down to the lake, I'm okay with that. Or maybe I have to have a steel seawall. So maybe if it has any one of those, he would be interested. So it's not just lake frontage he's looking at. It could be river frontage, could be on the canal over here. So the idea is that's when water features come in handy. So waterfront is always great, but maybe riverfront would be okay with them too. So it has to have at least one of those items in order for him to be interested. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. All right, some of my notes. Also, body of water. In talking to quite a few people in your area, I noticed you have a lot of Great Lakes. And unfortunately, as Brian mentioned, we'd love to give you that lake lookup that you had before. But remember, with 94% in our data share, it would be over 17,000 lakes. And by the way, many of the lakes are the exact same name. There happens to be, I think it's 8 different Deer lakes, and these are the larger lakes according to the DNR. So couldn't really give you a lookup to do that, unfortunately, because you'd be looking it up forever. So what we have is we have a field that you can search by lake name. It's called body of water. So unfortunately, that one again doesn't come out of the box, but you can simply add it if that's important to you. You're going to go to customize fields. This one, you're going to go to the find box here, and I just simply type in body, and it usually comes right up. So I type in body of water, check it off, hit add. Remember, it always drops it down here at the bottom, but you can move it right up to the top if that's what you'd like. Just move it to where you want it to be, and then go ahead and hit apply and save. Now, if I'm looking for, let's say, a home on Wixom Lake, I can go ahead and start typing in body of water. Now, you don't have to put lake, you don't have to put the ending. You're just going to go ahead and put in Wixom. And I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. I've got closed in here, so you can see there's quite a few. The idea is I can search on that body of water name. All right. You can also pull up your history of searches. So don't worry if you walked away and you missed something, you can always go back to it. You're simply going to click on your history. It'll show you the last 15 searches. So I can see right now there are 15 active on Wixom Lake. Okay. You can also save a search. So I do mine as save search as. That's how you can turn on the Collab Center too. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. So some of the other questions and notes that I had from our great questions and answer today, I love it. Sometimes, we do these classes and we get no questions, and it's hard to know if everyone's paying attention, but it was really terrific because we got a lot of really good questions. And one of the questions was, how do we search on keywords? Okay, so to search on a keyword, what we're actually going to do is we're going to go to customize fields, go into that find, and you could simply just type in words and enter. I think it's actually word, and it'll give you word search. Word search is where you can actually type in a word like sandy bottom, like Sugar Springs. Now, Sugar Springs, again, can be put right in the association name. There's a place for association name, association contact information, so all of that can be added too. Tomorrow we are having a listing input class, our very first one. We'll show you how to actually input a listing directly from the tax record, so you don't have to enter a lot of information. So remember, the idea of this search is when you're doing a search that's going to be more detailed. If you've got all your criteria in here, you can also do save search as. Now I can save it with a name. Maybe I'll call this Wixom Lake Search. Okay. Now I can also assign it to a contact. Brian mentioned we actually pulled over your contacts from Realty Server, but of course any new contact you would need to add. So I'm going to say that I'm going to set Babette up here, and we're going to give her an email of the, let's see, what did I use? C. Lang. It won't let you use the same address twice and create two different contacts. Okay, So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, put in their contact information and their email address. I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to save that contact in there now. So the idea is it makes it really easy to now go in and turn on what we call the Collab Center. So I've saved my contact. The Collab Center is much like your client services or concierge. I can't remember which one it was called. I apologize. But when I go into my viewer manage contacts, I can obviously add a new contact. I can also see what my contacts are doing. I can see when I added them and turned on their Collab Center. I can see when they got their last notification. I can see when they last logged in and started looking at properties. So it gives you kind of that history. When I go in and add a new contact, I can put in a spouse that can also get the email notifications, and it has a CRM. So my son actually goes to a little Catholic school over here, and a lot of times I will do, like for the auctions, I do, like giveaways and things for the moms and dads, and I hand out the water bottles at the track thing with my little, business card on them. So I actually created an SOI talking about, keeping track of Jake's school, contacts I met at Jake's school. So it does have some limited SOI functionality too. All right. Let me give you a quick look too. Now the Collab Center classes are coming up starting next week. I know Kim and Mary are going to get those out to everybody. I love the Collab Center. I love it for a couple reasons. One, it's very easy for the clients to navigate. It's what they're used to when they're using these other sites, except it uses the live MLS database. If I only had $1 for every time a buyer called me and said, I found this house on Zillow and you didn't send it to me, and turns out it actually closed 6 months ago, right? Well, this doesn't happen using the Collab Center because it's actually the back end of the live MLS database. So within 30 seconds, if something goes pending, it's pending in their system too. The clients are able to go in, they're able to click on view detail, they're able to see room sizes, virtual tours. They can even request a time that they'd like to see it from you. I tell all of my clients, I say, hey, favorite anything you like, because as soon as they favorite that, I get an immediate notification. But the really cool thing about that is I also can drop it right into a showing time cart. So I can say, okay, he has 5 properties that he wants to see. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to click. I'm going to say we want to show all these properties tonight. I can go right to where the more section is. I can say I want to, actions. I want to be able to maybe drop those right into showing time, and I can pull them into a showing time cart. We're going to talk a lot more about that too. We're going to talk about some of the cool functionality that showing time carts give you, so you don't have to go in and schedule each property independently. You can do them right in a cart. Now, as Brian mentioned, he's working hard on getting you the showing time link right on the properties. So hopefully by the end of today, originally I thought it was going to be the end of the week. So I'm so excited that by the end of today, he's going to try to get this showing time link on for you. As you can see, there's many different quick action links that are located right on the MLS ticket, and showing time will be one. Until that link is turned on, remember, you still can schedule through showing time. You're going to go up to resources, and you're going to go under your agent tools and showing time. This is where you can type in an address of the property you want to show, and you can still go ahead and create your showings. Okay, so soon you'll have this really quick link, which just makes it that much easier. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is searching by map, which I think will also be extremely helpful for you. So when I am searching and I want to do what an appraiser is going to do, I want to find something maybe 5 miles out or maybe a mile out where I am, that's the searching by map functionality. So I'm going to click into my search by map field. Now, obviously, you're going to put in your subject address. I'm just, for the sake of time, I'm going to do a real quick one here that I know will provide some good examples. So I'm going to pretend that I am going on a listing appointment at 41539 Westwell Drive. in Sterling Heights. You could do Clare, Michigan. You could do Gladwin, Michigan. You could put in the address of your listing appointment. But basically what you're doing is typing in an address here, clicking on the magnifying glass. Then you're going to go to the search radius. I'm going to say, okay, I want to search 1 mile from my subject property. What you're going to see is it's now creating this radius. My comps are now right inside here. If I click on this number, I can jump from comp to comp. I can see what it closed for. There's a whole bunch of information it's going to provide me. Click on this 5 here. I can even go right to the particular listing comp, or I can go right to the actual listing MLS ticket too. So a lot of cool things. If I click right on this 350, again, I can go right into that MLS number and I can go through that series of comps. Couple quick things here. Because you are looking at a lot more inventory in a larger area, you can also grab the little Google man over here to the right, and you could actually set them right in front of your listing. So maybe I want to see the neighborhood. I don't want to have to drive across town. I can literally walk down the street using Google Maps. I can check out the neighborhood and see exactly what the neighborhood looks like. I can see the property to the left, the property to the right. I can basically do a 360 tour. And the nice thing is it puts that little subject flag right in front of the property. So I know exactly which property that is my subject property. Okay. Another cool thing that I found in here is you can draw shapes. So let's pretend, I'm sorry to keep using you, Ivy, but I'm going to use you again. I'm going to say Ivy has a buyer. He does not want to live west of Mound Road. He also does not want to cross M53 freeway. And mother-in-law lives over here, so he's going to stay a little closer to this side of the woods and does not want to go north of 19 Mile Road. So you can actually be very, very specific with the drawing tools. You can have up to 10 shapes on your map. So that means if he's interested in several different cities, you could draw different cities. I also recommend if you are searching a subdivision. The problem with subdivisions are that it's not a required field. So an agent may not have filled out the subdivision name. It's much better to actually search where the listing is located, because whether or not the agent filled out the subdivision name, it will still find that particular property. One more thing I thought that would be really interesting for you guys is I know, unfortunately, last year you guys, many of you were impacted by the terrible flooding that happened in Midland. And so a lot of times you may want to know, hey, is this going to be in a floodplain area? Or maybe you even want to just see how big the parcels are. You can actually zoom in, you can see parcels and parcel information. But if you wanted to add a floodplain map, you can go right up to the extras right here, the layers, and you could say, okay, I want to find out, is this going to be in a floodplain? Now, one thing to note is I always tell my buyer, this is not the Bible. This isn't going to tell you for sure. You want to check with your lender, see if it is in a floodplain area. But as you can see, it did add the floodplain on here for me. So at least I have a visual of where that would be. Okay, so a couple other quick ideas. If you are looking to exclude a particular area, let's pretend that Ivy listed these $2 million waterfronts. Let's pretend that this Dodge Park is actually a lake. If I wanted to exclude a particular area, I could draw a shape. So I could say, okay, Ivy, although I'm excited that you've got these $2 million waterfront area listings, that's going to really screw up the CMA for my little brick ranch way back here. So I actually can draw a shape on a shape, and I can say, okay, I don't want to include that. I want to remove that so that my CMA doesn't get all screwed up with those numbers. Okay. Remember that when you're putting in your criteria and you're doing your searching, there's just 3 basic tabs at the top: your criteria tab, your map search tab, and then your results tab, and you can bounce between the 3. By the way, you can multitask in Paragon. You can have up to 12 different tabs open. So you can be putting in a new listing. You can be searching for a listing. You can just keep opening more tabs so that you can multitask. If I run my search, lastly, now we've got We've got our search results. Pulled up quite a few of them here, but just for the sake of time, I kind of want to show you how it's going to work. You can see right here, we've kind of got a breakdown, like a CMA breakdown. Again, if I am only interested in sending a few of these, I'm probably just going to click my checked button. So now I'm only working with those. And as Brian mentioned, he created a great report that's similar to the report that you saw in Realty Server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to let Mary know I'm running if I scroll down just a little bit, I'm going to go into the details section here, and you'll see a report called Clare Gladwin. I suggest you favorite that because when you are looking at a property, what we tried to do is make the report similar to what you saw in Realty Server. So it kind of has a similar layout. It's not exact, but it has that similar look, so you don't have to keep searching for things. All right, so remember, there's all different types of reports. I am a huge fan of the MLS client view. That's going to give your client the virtual tour, the map, the property photos, room sizes. But as you can see, it's branded to me at the bottom. So whether I'm texting it or emailing it, it's going to have my contact information down below. Okay. I think that's about it. One more thing under reports, keep in mind if you're doing a CMA, if you go down to the folder labeled CMA, that will also have kind of a quick view look. You can customize what fields are in your CMA quick view. It also will give you a CMA summary. So that will allow you to go ahead and add in columns that are important to you. So I'm a huge fan of Cloud CMA, but this is a great option as well that's built right into Paragon. All right, let's kick it over to questions. I know I covered a lot. Keep in mind, we are recording this because we know that you're not going to remember all of this your first time out. If you go to our YouTube channel, which is My Real Source Media, so if I go to YouTube here, if you subscribe when this class is uploaded tomorrow, it will automatically notify you. And that way you can go in and you can actually see this class again. So if you missed something or you're like, how did that lady turn on the floodplain map? We know we're going at a really good clip today to try to fit all of this in. So if you go to our YouTube channel, again, it's My Real Source Media. It will have all of our playlists, and I actually named your playlist. Ooh, I didn't mean to click there. There we go. I actually named your playlist Clare Gladwin. So you can actually go in and you can see all of the classes, not just this one, but you can see the one on the mobile MLS. You can see all the different classes that are available to you guys. So again, if you go in, just hit the subscribe button and it will notify you when any of the class videos come out for Clare Gladwin so that you can attend them. All right, let's take a look at the questions box. Looks like Brian's been hard at work. Where do you go to change the status? Really good question. Alice, you can do that. I'm going to go into my listing and I'll show you exactly where to do that. So I wish I could better remember addresses. I think my listing is 8515 Helen. Yes, okay. So if I go to more, so if I have my listing pulled up, I can go to the more section and do maintain listing. Okay, you'll obviously only see yours. But right from maintain a listing, this is where I can open up that listing. I can do a status change. I could add more photos. I could add documents. If I want to make this back on the market, knock on wood, don't want to jinx myself, I can go ahead and change this to active from pending. So very, very easy to edit your listing. Just open it up, go to more at the top and maintain listing. This is where you can share it onto Facebook. You can click on that from here. You can share via text too. You can add an open house, add seller's disclosures and lead-based paint. And we're going to show you how to do a lot of this right in the palm of your hand when we teach you the HomeSnap mobile application class. All right, any other questions? Now is your last chance. I think Brian's done a great job of answering a lot of these. Okay, again, your homework, please make sure you check your listings. Easiest way to do that is simply to go to the Market Monitor, go to My Info, and go to your listing section. Just open them up, take a look, make sure everything appears, because we got some, like just Ivy today was saying, you know, I think the square footage for upper and lower were flip-flops. So if you see something that's not correct, remember, we want you to open up your listings. We want you to go to the corrections button and let us know so we can get that corrected as soon as possible for you. All right, well, thank you everybody for attending the class today. Remember, you have free tech support now, 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That is also going to be posted on the middle section of your MLS dashboard. And so you will be able to call them. They are fantastic people. They're actually in-house people, and they do support all of your products. So as you go through this transition, don't be afraid to give them a call. You can reach them at 248-247-1040. Again, that number, I'm going to text it out real quick. It's 248-247-1040. All right, thanks everybody for your time. Hope you have a fantastic day. Get out there and sell, sell, sell. We need some inventory. So thank you again.